In theory, freelancing is a really simple concept. You have a skill, somebody needs that skill, and then they pay you for that skill. That's it, right? But if you're watching this video, then you've probably already realized that it's not that simple. You're either thinking about going freelance or you've already gone freelance and you're realizing, wow, there's so much stuff that's so difficult that nobody told me about. How do I price myself? Where do I find clients? How do I build my portfolio if I don't have any clients? How long is it gonna take before I can pay my rent? I get it, because I've been there. My name is Reese Hopper. I've been freelancing and producing content since 2015, and to be totally honest with you, when I started my career, I had no idea what I was doing. In 2016, I was broke, I was anxious, I was working at coffee shops just to make ends meet so I could pay rent. I was telling everybody that freelancing was going great, but internally I knew it wasn't, and I almost quit. In fact, at one point, about a year in, I tried to quit. I tried to go and apply and get a normal job, and no one would hire me. So I had to keep freelancing to pay my bills. And I'm happy to say now that I didn't quit. Over the next few years, I figured out a system. I landed my first retainer client. I eventually doubled my rate overnight in one single negotiation. I produced music videos for the Chainsmokers and Tiesto and many other artists. I produced commercials with big celebrities like Kevin O'Leary, athletes like Russell Wilson, and for big brands like DJI and Movement Watches. And a little over a year ago, I published my very first book with everything I've learned called What Gives You the Right to Freelance. So today, I'm gonna give you a realistic step-by-step framework of how to start your freelance business as a photo or video creative. This isn't hustle culture advice. I'm not gonna tell you to wake up at 4 a.m. and grind until you burn out. This is a realistic step-by-step framework that acknowledges that freelancing is hard and that trust takes time to build and that money isn't the ultimate goal. It's about building a career and a lifestyle that you enjoy every day. We're gonna cover 5 levels today. Number 1, deciding what you should do. Number 2, building a portfolio. Number 3, developing your offer. Number 4, an easy freelance marketing plan. And number 5, how to set yourself up for longevity. If you stick with me through this whole video, you're gonna have a really clear path forward on what to do as you start your freelance business. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme, it's a real roadmap. Let's get into it. Level 1, deciding what to do. When you start your career, a lot of people will ask you, well, what would you do if you couldn't fail? And I think they ask this question to try to get you to dream bigger. They try to get you to think like, oh, if I couldn't fail, what's the thing I would hope to be doing? But this is a troubling question for a lot of creative people because we're too creative for this kind of question. If I couldn't fail, I would want to do a lot of things. I would want to have a huge YouTube channel like we're going for right now. I would want to be the play-by-play announcer for the San Francisco Giants. I would want to be in a rock band touring the world. If I couldn't fail, all of this stuff sounds amazing, right? So this is why I don't think this is a super helpful question for creative people because we're too creative for it. I think a better question for creative people is this. What would you do if you couldn't succeed? What would you choose to do if the best you could hope to accomplish is just mediocre success with a mediocre income, with a mediocre level of fame and notoriety? I think that's a better question for creative people because it helps us hone in on the thing that we really can't live without. And once we identify this creative path that we would really have a hard time not ever doing again, that's going to reveal to us a sustainable direction for a freelance career. Because over the course of a freelance career, you are going to encounter times in your path in which things aren't going well. The question is, do you love this thing you're doing enough to stick with it, even during these times when you're not succeeding? That's what this question helps you uncover. What would you do for the rest of your life because you love it? Maybe there's something that pops into your mind when I say this now, or maybe you're still kicking around a couple of ideas. That's okay. As long as you have an idea of something that you know deep down in your heart that you love, this is something that we can start with. The second thing you can do that'll really help you uncover the path you should take as a freelancer is to take a skills inventory. What skills do you have now? What are you naturally good at? What have you already spent a fair amount of time doing? What software or hardware do you know how to use? What are you really interested in right now? If you can put all these skills down on a piece of paper, it's really going to bring a lot of clarity to you as you try to decide where you should take your freelance career next. Another thing that's really helpful to help you decide what to do as a freelancer, take stock of what businesses are actually paying for right now. A lot of the business advice that you hear that goes viral on social media is business advice from startup founders, from these tech startups who are revolutionizing an industry. As a freelancer, that's not what we're doing. Our business model is very different from these tech startups. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're not trying to do anything that nobody's ever done before. We need to find something that businesses have proven they're already spending money on. This isn't to say you can't be creative. It's not saying that you can't put your own spin on things or tell your own stories or do things differently. We're not disrupting industries here, so it can be tempting sometimes to think like, I'm gonna create videos for this industry that doesn't have any good videos, or I'm gonna take photos for this sector over here that has terrible photos. The reason they don't have good videos or good photos is because they don't value it. They haven't proven themselves to spend money on that stuff already. So as you're starting your freelance career, it might be tempting to try to reinvent the wheel in one of these industries or sectors, but you're just setting yourself up for a lot of heartache, a lot of uphill battles pitching, a lot of lost pitches, honestly. It's better to find a business that has already proven itself to be spending money on what you do, and then pitch them to do it better, to do it faster, to do it cheaper, to do it more creative. That's a better option forward. Now, if you're just getting your freelance career started, this probably feels a little bit overwhelming to you. Asking yourself what you would do if you couldn't succeed, taking a skills inventory, identifying sectors in business that already spend money. Maybe this feels a little bit overwhelming. Like, what if I make the wrong choice? Don't worry so much about making the wrong choice right now. The important thing is that you just get started. I know so many freelancers who started out doing photo and then they switched over to graphic design, or started out doing design and switched over to video. The important thing is just that you start, that you have enough confidence in yourself and your abilities now to learn the ins and outs of what it takes to deliver creative assets for a client, to grow your business, to learn all the stuff you need to learn to make money as a freelancer. It's important that you get started on that stuff now. So even if you're not 100% confident that this is exactly the right thing you want to be doing for the rest of your life, that's okay. As long as you have a good notion that you love it, that businesses already spend money on it, and that you already have the skills for it, get started. Let's go on to level 2, which is building your portfolio. A portfolio is the main thing you're going to need to win clients, win projects, get paid to do them. If you don't have a portfolio or a place to show your work, you're just not going to win clients. People want to see that you've done this before. Before they pay you money, they want to see that you've also done this for other people who have also paid you money. If you're just starting your freelance career, this feels like the chicken and the egg problem. You've probably seen a meme like this online before, where it's like, jobs ask you for experience in order to get the job, but if you don't have a job, how do you get that experience, right? It's the same thing with freelancing. If you don't have any clients, how can you build a portfolio to get clients who want to see a portfolio, right? It's this endless cycle of pain. So here's the solution. You have to make your own work on your own time with your own money. That's how you build your portfolio when you're just starting a freelance career. If we think back to level 1 of the businesses we identified that are already spending money on what we want to do, that's the kind of stuff that we should be building on our own for our portfolio. So for example, if you're a photographer and you want to shoot more products, you have tons of products probably within arm's reach of you watching this video right now that you could shoot photos of. You can go buy a little backdrop on Amazon, you could take it outdoors, you could set it up in interesting environments, and you can photograph the stuff you have in your house right now. If you want to do fashion videos for brands, you have friends who have cool clothes, you can get them into your apartment, you can get them into an urban environment, you can take them out to the park, and you can shoot those videos that show brands, hey, I can make you something that looks like this. All this stuff is within your power right now. Now, you may not have all the best gear, you may not have access to the highest production value stuff, but you definitely have enough to get started right now. You might feel a little bit bummed at first that you don't have access to great big client budgets or like cool studios or all this great gear with these big crews to bring these big projects to life, right? But let me tell you, this is a special time you're in right now if you're just starting your freelance career, because you have complete creative control. You don't have any needy clients asking for dumb revisions. You don't have any time constraints of studios and crews asking for overtime if they stick around too long. You can just get out there with your friends or by yourself and make something that you love, make something that is in your head and bring it to life. It's a really special time that you're in right now if you're just starting. I was just talking with Trey here, my videographer, and we were just reminiscing on the times when we had full creative control, right? So it's just a beautiful time that you're in. Enjoy it. Once you create this work, you're going to need a place on the internet to host this. This could be an Instagram account, this could be a website, this could be a PDF deck. It could even just be a note on your phone with links to your work, right? You just need to have all your work in one place so that if somebody asks or if they want to look at it, you can send it to them. It's worth mentioning, sometimes I talk to freelancers who are hesitant to do this kind of work when they're not getting paid. You're trying to carve out a career for yourself that is not traditional. You're trying to set your own schedule, make your own kind of work, live your own kind of lifestyle on your own, doing the work that you love. That's not going to be handed to you. You have to go and carve this out on your own. So this work that you're doing for no money now, this isn't free work for clients. This isn't free exposure for people. This is an investment that you're making in yourself and in your business for the long term. People do this at every level, even if they're just getting started on their freelance career, or if they've been freelancing and creating content for clients for a long time and they want to level up, they want to work with bigger crews or they want to work with better cameras. People are making these kinds of investments at every stage in their career. So you're not alone. It's something that, as a creative business owner, you're going to have to do at every level. A few years ago, a lot of the commercials I shot were just live action stuff. We wanted to do more visual effects and motion graphics in our commercials, but we didn't really have any clients who were paying us for that because we didn't have much of that work in our portfolio. So what my team and I did is we took a little bit of the profit that we were gonna make and we reinvested it back into these relationships with VFX vendors, motion graphics vendors, and put those in the videos that we were delivering to our clients. Now this was extra, they weren't paying us for it, we could have just pocketed the money. Once we did that a few times, we were able to more confidently pitch clients not only on the creative that we could deliver, but we felt confident on the budgets that we needed because we already developed those relationships with those vendors. So I tell you this story just to show you that this happens at every level, whether you're just starting out or you're running a big production company or you're making movies. Creatives always will take the extra time and money to invest it back in their career where they really want to go. Level 3, developing your offer. Once you've decided what you want to do and you've built out a few pieces inside of your portfolio, now's the time to pitch. The only difference between a professional creative and a hobbyist is the willingness to pitch. The hobbyist could be 10 times more gifted than the professional, but if the professional is the one who's willing to put pricing decks together for clients, put creative ideas together for clients, and pitch them to those clients, they're going to be the one winning the bigger budgets, having more resources to create better work, right? That's the only difference between the hobbyist and the professional, the willingness to pitch. You can't pitch without an offer. So let me tell you what goes into a good freelance offer. There are 3 essential things that need to go into every good freelance offer. What is the client getting? When are they getting it? And how much will it cost them? If any one of these 3 things are unclear and your client doesn't hire you, you know why. If you're just starting your freelance career, you probably have a good idea of what you can deliver and how long it'll take, but you don't know how much you should charge for that. I'm gonna give you a really simple equation that'll help you uncover what you should charge starting out as a freelancer. Generally speaking, in the photo and video world, creative day rates are billed between 10 or 12 hours. So if you're showing up for a day or most of a day as a freelancer to do a photo shoot, to do a video shoot, to edit a video, to do creative concepting, you should be thinking about how much the minimum you would want to make over the course of a 10 or 12 hour day would be. Now, when I started out as a freelancer, I didn't think about it so clearly. I was like, I just would be happy to make 200 bucks or 300 bucks, right? But eventually these projects didn't just take me one day, they would take me 3 or 5 days and I'd have to email and get on all these phone calls throughout it, right? So what I realized when I added up all the hours was that I was making less than minimum wage doing this creative work. For me at the time, that was fine, but what I try to tell freelancers now is make sure you're at least making minimum wage with your day rate. So let's say that's $15 and you're working 10-hour days. At minimum, for a day's worth of labor, you should be making $150, $200. This is just for people who are doing their first few projects, but if you're going out to capture an event or to film a wedding or to do a photo shoot for a brand, you should be thinking, okay, if I'm working for one day to shoot, maybe that's $200. If I'm working another day to edit the photos or 2 days to edit the video, that's another $200 per day. That's a great starting point to help you figure out the base amount you should be charging. Now, obviously, you probably want to be making a little bit more than minimum wage for your creative labor, right? This is where you can start thinking about project rates and bigger day rates for your creative work. I know creative freelancers, directors, and DPs who make $2,500, $3,500, sometimes $5,000 or $10,000 a day because they have a really unique creative skill set that they bring to the table. Now, obviously, they've developed that over the course of years. They've built up their brand and their reputation. They've built up these relationships. So that's not totally attainable for anyone who's just starting out as a freelancer. But I'm just telling you that to let you know that the sky is the limit, especially when you add on your own creative style into what you do. Using this day rate model and combining it with the knowledge of how long you know a project will take It'll give you a good starting point to figure out what your rate should be on a project. Let's say you're making a video for someone. Maybe you have 1 or 2 prep days for that. Maybe you have 1 shoot day and 3 or 4 editing days, right? You're already up to 7 days of labor. Let's say you have $350, $500 day rate, multiply that out. That gives you a good idea of what you should charge for that project. We won't get into this in this video, but once you have a good grip on that, you can start thinking about different multipliers, about how much value this brings the client, how difficult it is, how high stakes of a shoot it is, how much risk you're taking on by doing the project or bringing a team together. These are different multipliers that will allow you to charge more. But if we start with this base level day rate idea, this is going to make sure a lot of the folks who are just starting their freelance career don't make the same mistake that I did, which is charging way too little to do way too much work at the beginning. Make sure you're at least making a couple $100 per day of work. The fastest way to raise your rates is to talk to another freelancer who tells you they're charging twice as much as you for doing half as much work, right? So this knowledge, it really is power in these negotiations. It's going to give you a strong starting point to build your rate out, more confidence when you're pitching clients. Let's go on to level 4, which is an easy marketing plan for freelancers. Let's imagine for a moment that you're not a freelancer, you're not a photographer or a videographer, but instead you're a baker and you're baking cakes. Now you could bake cakes in your kitchen all day long, but if you don't put out a sign, if you don't send out any flyers, if you don't post on social media about it, if you keep your door locked, no one will ever buy a cake from you. Unfortunately, this is what a lot of freelancers do online. They think to themselves, okay, if I just make this kind of work, people will see it, people will spread the word, and then I'll get hired. But they're not posting on social media, emailing their clients, telling them what they do, cold emailing new clients, telling them about what they offer. So they're hoping that their business grows, but they're not doing any kind of work that would help their business to grow. And this is the idea with the easy freelance marketing plan. You're just trying to exist in more places on the internet. How many places on the internet is your portfolio hyperlinked? I'm talking about emails, I'm talking about social media accounts, I'm talking about local articles, all this stuff. The goal is just to get your name and your portfolio out on the internet as many places as possible. You may not have the ability to go viral on social media right now. You may not have control over whether people cover you in the news. You do have control over how often you email your clients and how often you email new clients. So for this marketing plan, we're going to talk about 3 essential components: warm outreach, cold outreach, and social media. Now, another component of marketing, of course, is paid ads. If you're just starting your freelance career, you probably have more time than money. Paid ads take money, so we're not going to talk about paid ads right now. We're just going to talk about these 3 methods that you can do today to start the marketing of your freelance career. The first and most important thing is warm outreach. Warm outreach, people often say, are people who know you already, either people who you've worked with before, people who already trust you, people from the community who know you. Contrast that with cold outreach, that's people who have never met you before, who have no idea who you are. You're reaching out to them cold. Warm outreach is an essential component for any business of any size, and it's the lowest hanging fruit for you as you're just starting the marketing for your freelance career. You can probably think of right now 3 or 5 or maybe 10 or 15 people that you know that you've met personally who either run businesses, they run nonprofit organizations, they work in local government, or maybe they're schools, who could have some need for photo or video work that you do. Once you have your portfolio ready and you have your offer tightened up, this is go time. This is when you send out emails to these people who already know you and trust you and let them know, this is what I do. This is what I can do for you. This email doesn't need to be super salesy. It shouldn't be too pushy. It really should just be letting people know, hey, I just started freelancing doing video or photo. Here's a link to my portfolio. Here's the kind of services that I offer. Please reach out if you ever need anything. It can be as simple as that. You're not pitching them on anything. You're not being too salesy. You're not asking them to give you a favor or anything. You're just letting them know what you do. Again, existing more places on the internet, existing in more inboxes. Now let's talk about cold outreach. This is pretty similar to warm outreach, except these people don't know you. Now pause for one moment and think about the emails, phone calls, and text messages that you've gotten in the past week from cold sources. You often don't open them. If you do open them, maybe you just scan them. It's very rare that you yourself respond to cold outreach. So when you're doing cold outreach for your business, it's important that you remember this. You're gonna reach out to 50 or 100 people and get no response whatsoever, right? But if you do this enough times, and if you do it with enough focus and enough of a little bit of a personal touch, You'll get some people reaching back to you, but these cold leads are much less likely to respond to you than the warm leads that you're reaching out to, which is why I mentioned it's more important to start with these warm leads. With cold outreach, it really helps if you put some personal element in there to show that this isn't just an email blast, this isn't just spam. Maybe take note on their LinkedIn of a campaign they worked on recently, or a big company update. If you're able to reference this in your email, this is going to help them feel like you're someone they can trust. The third component of this easy marketing plan is organic social content. Organic social content is in a really interesting place right now with Instagram Reels and TikTok. They're trying to keep as many people as possible on their app for as long as possible, so they show new content to new audiences who they think will find it interesting. In the past, if you wanted your content to be shown to new audiences, that's something you would have to pay for with paid advertising. Think of commercials and billboards and print ads. But right now, with the state of organic social content, if you make something that's interesting enough to a niche enough audience, these big social media platforms will serve it to these audiences for you for free. There are dozens of different ways you can do this. There are dozens of different formats that could work well for your social channel. But the most important thing is that you are showing people the kind of work that you do. What I often do is I put the commercial or the campaign that I worked on screen, and then I record myself doing a green screen talking about some behind the scenes. This is really interesting for people. Also new audiences who are videographers or brands who might want to do something similar. I have other friends who just post carousels of their recent work. I have other friends who create vlogs about the ups and downs and the challenges of freelancing, and they sprinkle in some of the work that they're doing as well. This brings a cool personal touch. At the very least, you should just be posting the work that you've done on social media. There are certain formats on social media that have a higher chance of getting more eyeballs than others. But the most important thing is just being consistent with it. Anytime you finish a spec project or a client project, put it up. This is going to help you exist more places on the internet and give you a better chance of being found by new clients who want the kind of work that you've already done. It can also be discouraging when you see these other creators getting millions and millions of views and you're wondering why your content hasn't gone viral yet. In these moments, it's important to remember your goals as a freelancer, which is to get paid to do the work that you love. You don't need to go viral. Honestly, you only need probably 10 or 15 clients every year to hire you to have a pretty good year. You don't need things to go viral, you just need the right people to be interested in it, and if you post it, they'll find it. Level 5, setting yourself up for longevity. I know this video is really snappy. We've covered a lot of topics pretty quickly, but your freelance career won't be that easy, it won't be that quick. Often when I talk to new freelancers, they ask me, how long is it going to take before I can quit my job or be making X amount of money or 100 grand or 150 grand? And I tell them it's going to take a few years. There's a good reason for this, because trust takes time. Trust should take a long time to build, and this is the key X factor in your career as a freelancer. Do clients trust you? Do you have a track record of delivering really quality work? And if you do, over how long a period of time have you done that for? The reason you feel like you're losing out on all these projects to these other freelancers is because they probably have a longer track record of being in the game than you. They've built up much more trust with these clients than you have just starting out. What I tell new freelancers is it's probably going to take a year and a half, or 2 years before you really start to feel a lot of momentum in your freelance career. That's how long it took for me. If you're 6 months in and you feel like things are slow, that's great. You're on schedule. If you grew up going to school, in school every 6 months you have a new semester. So you get these checkpoints of success every 6 months, every 5 months, every new quarter, every semester. As a freelancer, when you're starting your business, you might not get one of these big checkpoints of success until you've been working for 18 or 24 months. No one's going to come around and give you a diploma or tell you you passed or get you in a new class. It just takes a little while longer. So if you're just coming out of school, starting your freelance career, realize that. You're not going to feel like you're leveling up every 6 months or every 4 months. It's going to take a year and a half, a couple years before you really gain that momentum. Maybe you know someone, have a friend who just started their freelance career and they hit it big. They got a really big opportunity and now they're off to the races and you feel like you're stuck, still not growing your business. There are so many things on this pathway that you can't control. You can't control if a client gets back to you. You can't control how big their budget is. You can't control if they decide to hire you. You can't even control if they pay you or not. When you see other people having success or winning these big projects, when you're still working and feeling like you're not getting much momentum, you just need to stay focused on what you can control. You can control your inputs, you can control how much outreach you're doing, You can control the work you're putting in, the investment you're making in your portfolio. That's all you can control. And I promise you, if you stay focused on those things that you can control, things are going to work out for you. A few practical things that might help you as you're gaining traction in your freelance career is, number one, keep a safety net. Don't go all in on your freelance career too soon, because building this trust, it takes time. If you keep a part-time job while you're building your freelance business, that's great. If you have a savings account or a safety net while you're building your freelance business, that's also great. You can put yourself in a tough spot if you go all in on freelancing and you're not able to generate the revenue that you need. You won't be negotiating from a strong position. You'll be way more stressed out. It'll be really tough. So it's okay to do what you need to do to pay your bills while you're building your freelance business. A big mistake I made early on was over-promising to clients. I just wanted to say yes to make them feel like I could be the one who could deliver for them. Often what this led me to do was under-deliver. They were expecting a lot more than I was able to give them because I didn't have the time or the budget or the expertise. It's a hard discipline to develop, but it's really important to under-promise to your clients and then over-deliver. That's the kind of thing that's going to create a moment of joy for them. You're going to sear yourself in their brain as someone who's great to work with, someone who's dependable, someone who really delivers. It's hard to do on the front end, to say no to stuff that they're asking for, or to rein in your deliverables into things that only you know you can accomplish. But this is the kind of thing that's going to grow your career over time. It's going to help you get these referrals from other clients who have been really blown away by your service because you delivered a lot more than they were expecting. All right. Let's zoom out. We covered a lot today. There were 5 levels. Deciding what to do, which is finding a direction that feels viable for you and sustainable over the long term. Building your portfolio, which is creating the work you need to eventually get hired by clients. Developing your offer, getting really clear on what you do, how long it takes, and how much you charge for it. An easy marketing plan with warm outreach, cold outreach, and social media. And setting yourself up for longevity, having the right mindset, having safety nets in place, and delivering on realistic timelines for clients. This isn't a get-rich-quick guide. This is the real path. Slow, methodical actions that add up over time. I've been doing this for 10 years and I've achieved a lot. I've been a partner in a production company. I've produced videos with millions and millions of views. I've published a book about everything I've learned. But none of this happened overnight. It happened with a lot of slow, methodical, hard work. What I'm most proud of, though, is not anything I've achieved, but how I've been able to cultivate a lifestyle that feels like me. I've maintained time for my hobbies. I've protected a lot of time for my friends and my family. I've cultivated a lot of time for life outside of work. And that's not something that you can reach to achieve. It's something that you have to stand strong to protect. If this video was helpful for you and you want to keep learning more, I have a free email list. It's called Freelancers Only. It goes out every Tuesday at 2 p.m. with a short essay with practical tips and advice, or maybe a story from my career. Over 2,000 other smart freelancers have already signed up for it. It'd be great to have you on that list. Go sign up for that at the link in the description. And finally, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I'll catch you in the next one.